A warm welcome back to the Forensics Detailing channel, guys. Car's out of the garage. You're going to go and clean it in a minute. It's a nice quiet Sunday and I'm quite chilled. And I want to just go through and do a video on my personal favourites of the recent ceramic spray best of 2024 video, whatever we're going to call it. Now, all of these products here, it's a fresh new lineup. I didn't want any products I've tested before, really. The motivation was I've discovered a really good spray sealant, which I thought was superb, and I wanted to pit it against a whole new load of other ones that were, you know, new kids on the block, if you like, and just see where it stood. And that's the answer. And the numbers help the test be less biased. And I don't mean biased in a sinister way that I'm frigging the results, you know, or forging the results, or whatever you want to call it. In a way where just your personal preferences get filtered out a little bit, and you just test them, and those are results. So the Collinite Beadcoat, my favourite, did come first. Why? It's not the best value, but that's out of 20, so it's above average. Gloss, fantastic in it, and I think it is a really glossy product. Slickness was average, and it probably was average. It feels average. It's slick enough, but it's not mega slick. Very repellent. It's up there. It gets to the stage, I think, where two of them, the Armour detail and the Beadcoat, were so hydrophobic it was very difficult to tell. But I think the Beadcoat edges it. Durability above average. When you just wash it normally, but you can smash it down. That and the Vonixx, you can smash them down quite rapidly with stronger chemicals. But if you don't, then just use a pH neutral thing and just test it. It lasts up really, really well. The user experience was good as well, so it's come up with the most marks. Next was this Brazilian Vonixx one, which is a carnauba company, a carnauba cultivator, and a user of, they use carnauba and sell it and all that sort of stuff, but they also do detailing products with it. And this is a blend of carnauba, water-based carnauba emulsion, and SiO2. It is a good product. It's glossy. It goes on well. It's quite good value. It's not slick. That's the only thing, and it's not chemically resistant. And I just felt like if I'm going to go to these modern spray sealants, funny enough, I want a pure water-based one that's not a wax emulsion. Because of the reason I've said, that the wax emulsions just tend, especially if they're water-based, the emulsifier just stops the core ingredient, the backbone ingredient, the wax, being impervious to water. It loses its imperviousness when you put emulsifiers in with it, which open the blend up to water, so it gets... it's not quite as durable. It is a good product though, but not my second place. And we'll go through and I'll just tell you a little bit about how I see this, and by ruling products out. The first one I'd rule out is this Chemical Guys Hydrocharge. Very disappointed with that. Very disappointed. For all the hype and the extreme hydrophobic properties, it's not extremely hydrophobic in my opinion from the testing I did. It's glossy, so I'll give it the brilliant shine. Yeah, it did well on the gloss test. It's not durable though either, and it's very expensive. And it's fair to say, I think I said it in the video, I try and get the Chemical Guys in because I personally like them. I'm going to be going and doing a video on this one over here. You know, I bought this and I want to try it. I like the brand. But it's fair to say to me, this Hydrocharge or Hydro range with their Hydro ceramic shampoo and their Hydro wax and all that, very disappointed with all of the products in there. They've performed badly in my tests. And yeah, it's just not a good product. And you guys are putting it in the comments as well, saying, oh, the Chemical Guys products are overhyped and underperform. Not all of them, no. I guess I like the marketing. I like the branding. I think it's powerful. And it's intelligent, and I like the fact they're on the ball and they do all these sub-ranges. Unfortunately, this Hydro sub-range has been poor for me, performance-wise. So yeah, not worth the money, especially for what's a non-water-based product, as far as I can tell, with proper ceramic credentials. Disappointing for me. Now, I'm going to rule some other ones out. This product here, straight away, without thinking about testing, I'll tell you why I rule this out. I'm looking at these as standalone sealants, not toppers. It's an SiO2 defender. It should have good standalone properties. Has no repellency to it, which is fine if you don't want that. It's almost like a detail spray for me, like a topper, it's almost like maybe a coating topper, which is one thing they envisage it for. Fine as a coating topper, yes, it does gloss up really nice under the microfiber, it does slick up, but if you test it standalone, it's got no hydrophobicity, it's got no durability at all. It just reminds me a little bit of Bead Maker for me. So that's why I just ruled that one out. The next one I'd rule out is the 3D Bead It Up. It has decent durability. It's very affordable. But it's not that hydrophobic. You know, if you put claims on there as super hydrophobic polymer, I want to see it up at the top echelons of that beading, where it wasn't. Its repellency was not that good at all, actually. It's slightly hydrophobic, but nothing to shout about at all. And I'm expecting brands like 3D to test, a bit like Built Hamber do, get all of the market leading products and test your own hydrophobicity against these other ones before you make these claims. So I feel this is a good affordable spray sealant that is actually durable but doesn't have the wow factor, and that's why I wouldn't use it. That's for me, okay? I'm saying that's for me because this is all personal preference, and everything I say people will counter. Someone will say, I love this for whatever reason. Great, but no, it's not for me. The next one I think I would rule out of all of these, I would rule out the Vonixx next, because I know it really lacks chemical resistance as a product. Even though it's affordable, it's really shiny, really nice to use actually. If you're an old school guy and you like a carnauba with a bit of a twist, the SiO2 is supposed to be in there for durability and slickness, but it doesn't provide that, this product. The slickness isn't great. But it's that chemical resistance, which whenever a spray sealant or something like this lacks chemical resistance completely, then I tend to not favour it. Now we're getting down to, I think, in my opinion, 5 viable spray sealants for all different reasons. And I'm going to rule the next one out for me. The next one out I'm going to rule is the Koch. This has one thing going for it. It is durable. It has good durability, but it doesn't demonstrate that so well because it's not that repellent. It's not especially slick, and it wasn't especially glossy. It's predominantly siloxane based. You can smell this strong vinegary type smell, which is a siloxane. And this is sad, but I could probably name the raw material they're using in that product, which is a German raw material that I recognise because I think I've had my hands on it. Recognise it from the smell. And it's a strong siloxane. They're using a lot of it in there. But there needs to be more going on, I think. If that is just that basic blend with water, siloxane, some alcohol solvent or whatever, some anti-static, some antimicrobial, you'll get quite a basic sealant. And that's what that feels like to me. But it's not that, it's a good sealant basically, but it's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a bit more wow factor. But you're not being ripped off here. There's a good amount of siloxane in that, and it really lasts up well. So that could be a viable option if you like the brand Koch, which I do. You know, very serious brand, technical brand, very good, very responsible brand with all of the German regulations and all that, and European regulations. Just a very good brand. But no, it's fair to say Koch are good with all their wash products, all the other stuff, but I don't think, as far as I'm concerned, their protection products are market leading. They've all got strengths and weaknesses. Abrasives, top of the game, aren't they? So that leaves us down to the last kind of 5 here. This is getting interesting. I think the next one I would probably rule out is Dr. Beasley's. Yeah, and really, Dr. Beasley's spray sealant that goes on very well, just like a detail spray. You spray it on, you wipe it over the panel. There's no dramas, there's no smearing, and it's left a layer of material behind, which does bead better than average, but it's not a bead hero. It's a bead sergeant. It's a bead, you know, corporal or whatever, somewhere in the mid-ranking. Someone's going to tell me all about the army rankings now. Corporal's too high, John. It's a bead sergeant, has some hydrophobicity. It also is more durable than average in this test, okay? And that's important to me. I'm just trying to find it. Where is it? Where is it? Oh yeah, it came last, right at the bottom. It's not especially slick and it wasn't showing as especially glossy, but good durability and decent repellency. The biggest problem with this is it's priced itself way out of the market. You get like an odd amount of liquid with this, 360 ml, and I think it's roughly about £25 for this bottle. So if you do your price per litre, I think it was about £80 plus per litre, whereas our average was somewhere in the 60s, and we had ones with even in the 30s and 40s. So it's too expensive, and it needs to be slicker and a bit more wow factor for me for the money. But a good effort. Good effort. It didn't deserve to come last. I don't know. It come last because of the price, because there was 2 performance tests, the gloss and slickness, where it didn't do well, and then repellency and durability did well. And user experience, it doesn't even tell you what it is. But right now I don't care about that right at this moment in time, but during the test I did. I think it's the only product that you can pick up that's not immediately obvious what it is if you're not really into your detailing. There's no product description, if you like, on the label, just directions. That's a big mistake for me. I don't know what you feel about that. Someone will say, no, it's not, John, it's great. Okay, for me it's a big mistake. We're left with these 4 now. And I think we're getting to the stage where we've got 4 very strong products that are getting harder to criticise. But the next one I would rule out is the Armour detail. This product, when you just spray it down here, for example, let's get it going. If I just spray that there and leave that material, that goes quite sticky and resinous. So it's not a slick one. If I sprayed either of these 2 down, the material that's left, when it dries, it never goes through a sticky phase. Yes, and it showed in the slickness testing actually. So this product for me has an Achilles heel with the slickness. That's its one Achilles heel. The rest of the overall thing, it was down on value, so it is expensive, and that does put me off. Even though I'm supposed to be giving you an opinion, not focusing too much on this, but this helps me. It is expensive. You have to remember to seal up the trigger, or else you can get drips coming out of these veilers. That's the downside, but they're very comfortable, good quality trigger. Yeah, the slickness is its Achilles heel. That's fine. Repellency, it's as water repellent as it gets when you apply it. And the durability of it is actually good, you know, within this field, which has some really strong durability products. It's pretty good. It's weird, you can smack it down, you know, quite easily, even with I'm using pH neutral stuff. It lost a bit of that beading quite rapidly, but then I noticed what was left held on really well. And I think that resinous nature to it, when I see that drying, bodes well. So I think it claims 6 months, I think. Will it do that? I think it will get you beyond 3. You know, what the rule of thumb, always halve it, you know. So in my opinion, it will probably get you beyond 3. So it'll get you from 3 to 6 somewhere. It's okay. It's, you know, it's one of the better ones in this test. I think it's better than the Dr. Beasley and the Koch, that are both decent. Yeah. So next, yeah, this is really interesting because these 3 products for me are all stonkers. They're all stonking products. If I was detailing someone else's car and they didn't want a ceramic coating, but they wanted a really durable baseline sealant, there is only one winner there, and that's the SiRamik. It is very, very durable from what I've seen. You know, when you hit these products, when you apply them, they all bead like crazy. Even you put an organic wax on a car, and when it's freshly applied, it will you know, you seal that zing. But the way this SiRamik holds on to its on-application performance is really impressive. It's not ceramic, I don't think, but it's a resin. I'd imagine it's a silicon material that's a resin, and whatever it is, it's a bit of a monster. Very, very impressive. You guys put it in the comments that I needed to try this. The guys that are still lurking around on forums talking about detailing products, you guys are the old wisdom. You are the old wisdom, and you know a good product when you see it. And yeah, this was a good heads up, good recommendation. Very good, actually. This product I'll be keeping. I'll be keeping it. Does the graphene really do anything? I'm not sure. I think it's the core silicon resin which is the star of the show, but it's a good upsell, isn't it? That if you're a professional detailer and you say, oh, you don't want a ceramic coating, I have a sealant that's really powerful that's also infused with graphene, but you can put on your car, but it's not as risky as putting a coating on, or as involved. You know, I spray it on the panel and I buff it into the paint. That's it. But that resin is really, really durable. There are some downside with this product. It has a dry feeling when you apply it. It kind of gets absorbed into the microfiber quite easily. It doesn't have a slickness when you're spreading it, which is something I really like. I like to have in a product, and this doesn't have it. So the application's like, this doesn't feel great. But the buff's fine. So it's not difficult to apply. It's just not pleasant in my opinion. The packaging is clumsy for me. I don't think in this day and age, it's such a competitive market with all these brands. I don't think you can get away with putting this poor quality trigger on a bottle and it doesn't even fit properly. You know, you've got to everything's got to be on point. And I don't think this label is on point. I want a lot more of the old BS in there. Give me some of the BS. Give me a really cool description of the product. That is not a cool description. The description and the language is not worthy of the quality of this chemical, which is really good. You've got to write this properly. And it's easy to do. Just look at what some of the other brands do, and just, if you know, you can dial it back a little bit if it's too BSy for you. But give me some good information on what this product is and why it's cool in a preamble. Then go on to your instructions and give me a bit more than that. You know, get your shake well before you use it. As I said, yeah, give me a bit more than that. You know, can it be used? Just think about all of the questions your customers are going to ask you, and make sure it's covered on the label, because it saves your customers getting frustrated if they've got a question. They're like, I've got to contact someone. How do I contact these guys to ask? That's why they ask me instead. I don't want to be fielding questions on it. But it saves you as a brand having to deal with inquiries. Because every person that buys this might send a message off asking if it could be used on alloy wheels. Can I use it on glass? Can I use it on trim? So just put it on the bottle and you save everyone aggro, and you create a better user experience. I also feel this product, because it doesn't feel water-based, you know, it's perhaps slightly more professionally orientated. And of course the triggers also seize up. Can you, when you've used the product, can you take the trigger out, empty the chamber so the chemical is not in the chamber, and then put a lid back on it, whichever lid came with it. Might have come with that, I can't remember. I think it came with a lid. And then your trigger will be okay. If it's not, and it still seizes up because the material is so resinous, then you've got to put in like 4 or 5 lids, or else your customers can't use it. And what guys at home are going to have multiple sprayers to use each time they reuse the product? So in layman's terms, you could buy this, the trigger seizes after using it once, you go to use it again, you snap the trigger, bust it, it then loses its air tightness, you can't use the product if you're just a normal guy at home and it's sitting on your shelf, you've got no replacement trigger that you could get on, sheave on that bottle, and your user experience is gone. You might have to try and go looking in your cupboard for a lid that fits, and then every time you use it, you tip the bottle out into an applicator and use half the bottle. You can ruin your user experience. So there's so many things, I think, for SiRamiks to work on, but they're pretty easy things to work on, but you need to work on them if you're going to compete with the big boys. Let me come over here and just show you the big boys. There's loads of stuff coming. These are the big boys. I've noticed they've updated all of their triggers so that you can't tamper with these, and they lock in, and they probably won't. There's zero chance of them leaking in transport. Don't get me wrong. These probably aren't the best triggers in the world, but these are things you've got to get right. Yeah, the triggers are good actually. They've changed those triggers. That's a good draw on that. But look at the bottle and the packaging. You know, look at that. And compare the two. They're on different levels. Frosted bottle. You know, I think the instructions now, we're moving towards these quick codes where you can go and get more information, but good instructions and preambles and everything like that. So that's what you're up against. That is what you're up against. And if you don't match that, you're in trouble, aren't you? Just looking at these products, you know, they're phenomenal. So I hope SiRamik's take that as constructive criticism, because I do love this product and I will be keeping this product. I've got to figure out a solution to the trigger problem for it. Awesome stuff, yeah. That leaves us with two products that really, I think, are probably the strongest spray sealants in this test. And they are different types of products, actually, or same format, but different performance. The one that really blew me away as well, in fact, perhaps out of the two, has the massive wow factor, is the Menzerna. I think maybe the wow factor of the Menzerna is even higher than the wow factor of the Beadcoat. You spray this stuff onto a panel that's half decent, you know, half decent panel, the slickness that you'll get back from it is like, it's up there with the best. It's instant as well. You get the slickness during the buff, and the shine comes through. It's a really slick product. So impressive. And the gloss is good as well, regardless of what did the test say. Yeah, the test didn't put the gloss high, but 3, but it was still in that 91 category really. The only really terrible one was that. Even that 2 is okay from 3D. That's the only real bad performing gloss product. These are within error of each other. But my eyes say that this product makes the panels shine really well. Yeah, this falls into that category of a really great product. There are some disadvantages with it though. It's not very hydrophobic, unfortunately. It's okay, don't get me wrong. It's more than the 3D, which says it's super hydrophobic. It's okay. The durability is probably better than that 4 gives it credit for. It does hang onto the panel okay, but again, because it's a slower, less hydrophobic product, its durability, once it starts to lose a bit, then the water can you know, build up over the top of it, and it can mask the fact that it's still there a little bit more than a really zingy product. So it's okay, but I would perhaps describe it as a really good ceramic detailer, rather than a really good ceramic spray sealant, in my opinion. But that is phenomenal. That I'm keeping that. Yeah, I'll do another video on this stuff because it's so good. And this one, my trusty favourite, I just think, yes, this video has highlighted a few little things on the product that might not be quite as good as I first thought. The slickness is probably average within a good field of SiO2 ceramic detailer. So it's okay, it's acceptable, but it's not like the Menzerna. It's not like, you know, the old slippery eel. And the durability, it's okay, but you'd have to look after it. In real world terms, for me, it's not a problem. I've had it on my car now for a couple of months, and I wash the car, and you know, I spritz a little bit of the slicker detailer on it, and the thing's still beading like it was from day one, because the detailer is kind of probably the similar format, you know, and it's just topping up the protection, so I'm not having to do anything. Just a little spray per panel and then dry the panel like the drying aid thing, you know. So the durability is less important for me, but it might not be for you, so we have to measure that. And if you hit it with stronger chemicals, so even if you're washing your car with something like touchless, it is a bit stronger than using a pH neutral. It is probably going to affect this product a little bit more. So something to consider, but it's still probably one of the best spray sealants I've ever used. It's more about when you've got your car done and you put it on the car, how easy is it to work with? For me, it's the way it melts into the panel after you've put that film out. It just melts into the panel really quickly, and like the little buff, and then it really glosses up as well, like to my eye. That little layer of kind of reflectivity, I see it on the test panel as well. When you see an untreated panel and you sort of test it with water, then the water kind of shunts off. You see this slight shine from the film that's put behind, and it's really good. So yeah, I think it's probably the worthy winner. But I think if I had a lot of people, say if I had 10 people doing this test with me, or doing their own versions of the test and coming here and testing them on their cars and testing them on test panels and all that, I think some people might argue this one was better. Very hard to say. You know, both very, very good. And some would argue this is better, actually. Some people would say, John, this is the clear winner because of performance. You look at the performance. These are the 4 performance tests. There, that's value. Don't worry about that. This is gloss, slickness, repellency, durability. That's the highest marks. So gloss and durability. That surprised me as well. Yeah, and the highest performance marks by some way, but then got absolutely crucified on cost and user experience. And I think rightly so, because the way we test products, you know, on this channel, we look at things like that. Very important for a brand, if they're going to make it big, to think about that user experience and try and think about being a bit more competitive on price. Don't have to be the cheapest. They could have won this test without being the cheapest. If they'd have got a good user experience, they could have picked up another 10 marks easily. Then they'd be up in second place. So if they got their user experience right, they'd have come second. If they'd have got their price slightly cheaper so they weren't last, they would have won. It would have won, yeah. There we go. And that's why we do this. Here's our 3 outstanding products, guys. Very, very good things. I've also really enjoyed this test. It reminded me of how I used to feel about doing tests, you know, 6, 7, 8 years ago, really excited to do them. And then, you know, I've done so many iterations and versions of it, you can get a bit bored, especially if you're retesting the same products you've already tested before. So it's healthy for me to try and cover different ground and find new products that I really like and give me that sort of sense of enjoyment for doing these reviews. Yeah, so really enjoyed this one. Now, we'll end this video here and just say a huge thank you to everyone that watched the main SiRamik video, and a huge thank you to everyone that watched it and then chose to come and support the channel through Patreon. So we will be reminding people about the existence of my Patreon page and the importance of my Patreon page. I'm steering a ship here in a storm, and I've got different directions I could possibly steer it to try and keep this channel going as like a full-time career thing. You never know which direction to head, but at the moment I'm seeing Patreon as a bit of a lighthouse, and I should head towards that lighthouse because it's healthier. The other direction is to try and push the channel into doing more viral driven content, which is important, but it's not rewarding to do that. I've talked about it in other videos. I don't think I enjoy doing that sort of content and short format content too much. Doesn't get my juices going. You'd know what I mean if you did this. I like the talking side of it and the relationship and the comments and that sort of discussion. I like the long format stuff, but like I've said, that is dying. So if you want to carry on seeing this stuff, the channel is reliant on a smaller proportion of you, the crazy ones, that come in and say, yep, I'll come and support you, John. And it might only be for 3 months in the $1 tiering. So you give like $3 in PayPal. PayPal just goes $1 one month, $1 next month, $1 next. Then you say, right, John, good luck, mate. Hope that helps. And then you just like sign off the Patreon thing, you know, cancel it. quit it, whatever. It's easy to do, and then you're not contributing. When you do that, there's a new feature in Patreon now that it keeps you as a member of my channel, but you're a free member, which is quite cool because you can still be part of the community as well. So yeah, some guys are like really, when they leave, they're like, John, I'm so sorry, I've got to go now. And I'm like, don't apologise, you've come in and supported the channel. That is a very, very nice thing for anyone to do. So never apologise when you leave. It can only ever be for a limited amount of time, can't it? You know, and some people have been supporting the channel for years, which is crazy. So check the link in the description, the classic YouTuber saying, that will direct you to my Patreon page and have a look. You can also see, whenever you go to a Patreon page, a little tip. It tells you how many posts that page has done. So you can see if that Patreon channel is active or it's just there doing nothing. And I think you can see my page will have hundreds of posts, whereas most will have one or two. They create a couple of posts when they set up Patreon and then never go there again. I don't think that's fair. I think you have an obligation to make Patreon interesting, and the more you put in, the more you should get out. Although it's not always the way, is it? It's not always the way. So thank you very much for watching. I'll see you soon on the Forensics Detailing channel. These are the three stonkers. I'll just link these three. Or no, I'll link them all in the description because I've got the template from the other videos. But the Slick King, the Durability King, and perhaps the best all-rounder, easy to use, good user experience, beady as hell, reasonably slick. Great product, actually. So there we go. Let's turn this one off. Doug.